Blake, I so appreciate you joining us today. I see you everywhere, so I know how busy you've been. Let's start by just asking you how the last 4 months have felt to you. How are you?
I'm good today. Thanks, Tara. I'm excited to be here. So, everything's good on my end right now. The last 4 months have been crazy, I'm sure, for everybody. There's been so much going on, so much turmoil and impatience, and just with the state of the country, it's a bit of an upheaval. So, it's been hard with the last few months, but I think as at the same time we've been able to step back and appreciate family and friends and loved ones. So both sides, good and bad.
Well, it's affecting everybody's personal lives, of course, but for you, it also very much intersects into your professional life, your hockey world, the world of social justice. And I'm going to start by asking you about the new LA Kings inclusion initiative that basically you will be spearheading on their behalf, along with, I guess, 10 other professional sports teams in the LA area. So, what is it, and what is the hope in terms of accomplishment?
For sure, yes. So there's two different parts. The LA Inclusion Initiative, or the Los Angeles Kings LA Inclusion Initiative, that is for the Kings specifically. We
Uh-huh.
wanted to align that with the 11 teams in LA, which is called the Alliance. So the Alliance is the all the teams together coming to combat racial injustices and level the playing field for younger kids who want to play different sports, and just creating opportunities for them and putting our money where our mouth is. And then the LA Kings Inclusion Initiative is where I will be guiding and helping as much as I can, just by being a voice in the community and trying to diversify our sport, specifically in ice hockey, which, as we all know, is seemingly difficult. So that's my job as the growth and inclusion specialist right now with the Kings, and I'm just looking forward to it because it's something that I've been very passionate my entire career.
Is this somewhere you saw yourself? Like when you were 10 years old, did you think this at all, that this was a world you'd end up in?
I always knew that I wanted to make a difference. And I think when you're younger, you just kind of have all these big dreams. And I wanted to play hockey for as long as I could. So knock on wood, I'm still healthy today. And with that, I've been able to change lives, and
Hmm.
with my presence, being able to show young Black girls that there are Black people that play hockey, and Black strong women who can be there for you and pave that way so you don't have to feel like you're so alone, which I did a lot when I was growing up, feeling alone and not really having someone to look up to that much, that looked like me. But no, I had no idea that I would be in Los Angeles and with all these movers and shakers and leaders in our community and in sports, really. Had no idea, but I'm really happy to do it.
And we're going to get to the whole story because I want to know sort of from the beginning how it's gone for you. But I should mention that this is all on top of the fact that you are a scout with the Kings too. So
Yeah,
that's where your relationship started with them.
for sure.
And I know you're following in the footsteps of the first pro scout in the NHL, who's a woman, who's Cami Granado. You're
Yep.
the second, the first Black woman. I mean, it's massive. Does it signal a massive shift, do you think?
I think for sure it does signal a massive shift. There are women all over the sports industry. We just saw a woman on MLB's field as a coach, and that was making headway. So I think little by little, we're doing all of these things to collectively come together and say, yeah, we're women and we're here and we're empowered and we're not going anywhere. So that's awesome to see. Cameron Granado has been someone, I mean, she's a legend, right? And to be in the same breath as her is just remarkable. And as I said before, I never thought I'd be in this position. And it kind of felt like a whole serendipitous situation for me to come about and be working with the LA Kings as a scout. But I think everything happens for a reason. And I think this is helping our hockey community look at the game differently as far as diversity and inclusion.
Blake, how did you meet Luc Robitaille? Because it's a pretty funny story.
Yeah, it's so great. Like I said, it's serendipitous, right? I was attending a Black Girl Hockey Club event, And I always am thanking Renee Hess because she's the executive director and co-founder or the founder of Black Girl Hockey Club. I'm like, thank you so much. I wouldn't have met Luke without you. So I went to the Staples Center and I was a special guest there with them. And we were for Black Girl Hockey Club. Every event they do, they get a huge tour of the facility, and then they sit down and they watch the game. So we were at that point getting a tour of the facility, and Luke is coming down and introducing himself to everyone, and I'm starstruck, like, that's Luke Robitaille. That's so cool. And so one of my friends, Kwame Mason, was like, you should go talk to him. And I was like, okay, let's go. And I introduced myself to him, and he knew about the PWHPA and he knew about women's hockey and the state that it's in, and was very complimentary about what we were doing and pushing the needle a little bit further. And so we just had a little conversation. He asked where I was living. I said San Diego. And he was like, huh, have you ever thought about scouting? And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I haven't, but tell me more. He told me his email address. I sent my resume. I sent everything through. And then the interview process started happening very shortly after that. And here I am today as a scout.
Amazing. The universe lined up for you. Let's get to your journey. We'll go back in time. How did you find hockey? How did hockey find you? Where did it begin?
Yeah. Hockey, I slipped into hockey just like I slip into everything else. My mother was a single mom, and she met who I call my dad now. His name is Leslie Dean. And he and them started this amazing love affair, and it was just great. And he would take me to hockey games because hockey was his favorite sport. And we bonded over that. You know, he loved the Cleveland Lumberjacks, which is the IHL team back in the day with like Jock Hollander and all those IHL studs. And I thought it was really cool because I was doing sports that weren't as exciting as hockey. I was doing ballet and karate and, you know, just being a little kid. So when I was 6 years old and hockey was introduced to me, I was like, what is this? I've never seen this before. And as that relationship grew, I felt comfortable to ask him and my mom how I can learn how to play. And so immediately he was so excited, and we went and drove to Play It Again Sports to grab all of this secondhand equipment. And it was pretty embarrassing because I had no idea what any of it was. And I threw it all on my body and I couldn't skate. And I was pushing around cones and chairs with tennis balls at the bottom of them. And it was just embarrassing. I didn't know how to stop when I was skating for the first 2 years, and it was a challenge. And I think that's just part of my personality. I like a challenge, and I just kept at it from that moment on till now. I haven't taken a season off. So clearly I love it more than anything.
Well, first of all, I still can't stop, and I probably should be using a chair with tennis balls. But your mom, actually, we talked to your mom, and she said that you slid into skates like sneakers. So clearly, you took to it.
Oh, mom, thanks.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I was an athletic kid, but I don't know. It was new, you know? The ground is nowhere near as easy or as hard as skating is on the ice. So
So
she's
when did?
actually the one who taught me how to stop. She took me to
No kidding.
yeah, a learn to skate or an open skate, and just told me. She got on the ice with me and she was like, Blake, you're learning how to stop, and was just like, stop. And I was like, I don't know how. And I was crying, and eventually I did it after like the 100th time.
Well, maybe we can get your mom up here to help me sometime. When did you realize that you were good, or did
um
you? Did it take somebody telling you? Did you see yourself excelling?
I think I was good when I started at like the really beginner stage at learn to skate, and then I did a house league, and then from that first season I went from B, which is not the highest level, to double A. And then my third year I was like, well, hey, let's try out for triple A boys hockey. And then that's when I was like, oh, I think I'm excelling pretty quickly. But yeah.
And then you end up at prep school. Were
Yep.
you the only Black girl on the team?
I was the only Black person in the school for 4 years straight.
Whoa. Okay. Well, what was that like?
It was Interesting. I was from Cleveland, so I went to upstate, kind of middle of nowhere, New York, where I actually saw no one that looked like me.
Mm.
And but the whole school, it was surrounded by ice hockey and skiing. And so it was kind of like an Olympic athlete sport school. And I wanted to go there because I told my parents that I wanted to go to college and play hockey. And that was the route that we took to get to
Mm.
that point. So my high school coach Thomas Broderick, he basically just sat me down and said, "Hey, listen, we want you here. We'll do whatever it takes to get you here. And I understand that diversity is something that we're working towards, but we don't want that to deter you from coming to our school. We'll take care of you. We'll be a second family for you." And I mean, he's been in my life until this moment here. So I had a good support system, but it was different and it was hard at times. And I wanted to
Mm.
come home sometimes. But at the same time, I was like, I have a goal and I want to do it and I want to go to college and I want to see how far I can go.
Your career as a player is formidable.
Hmm.
You 2 golds with the under 18s. You go to Boston College. You're a Patty Kazmaier finalist. You win a Clarkson Cup. You win an Isabel Cup. You've done everything. You're an all-star, and you still don't make the Olympic team. And I know this is a sensitive subject for you.
Yeah.
And I had the same conversation with Angela James, and even this many years later, 20 years later, um, it's hard to
Hmm.
have.
Hmm.
And I know she has some of her suspicions that she's not willing to talk about. Why do you think you didn't make that team? Because the numbers are all there, the stats
Hmm.
are all there. You are a competent enough player to have made that team. So why not?
I appreciate that. The short answer is I don't know. I mean, everybody can speculate, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I can say that women's hockey has grown so much that a lot of my peers, I mean, they're amazing hockey players. And I think maybe I was a little bit too risque back then. I think I was very powerful. I was very offensive. I was
Mm-hmm.
um, I was a go-getter. I was scoring goals. And I think maybe my personality or the way I played didn't work out with the coaching staff. Maybe. I mean, that's the only thing that isn't the other thing that I can
Right.
think of.
So, but I mean, yeah, I understand that this is a sensitive topic, but
Yeah.
does the other thing cross your mind? It has to, right?
Uh, yeah, I mean, it does. It does. But I think, as I spoke before, I think everything does happen for a reason. And I think I've blazed enough of a trail for. I really, really hope to see someone that looks like me on the Olympic team because that was my dream as a little girl. I remember telling my mom, I want to be the first Black Olympic player to play on USA Hockey.
Hmm.
And that was my goal. And when it didn't happen, of course, like my whole soul was ripped out, you know? And it took years. And so many people, it's happened to so many people when their dreams have been shattered, not making an Olympic team. It's a part of being an athlete and
Mm-hmm.
going through that adversity and learning how to deal with it. But I started a mentorship program to help girls who go through adversity, who have mental toughness issues and need that confidence to be instilled for them to believe in themselves, because it took me years to do that after I was cut and told that I wasn't going to be asked back. So, I mean, I don't know, Tara, I don't know.
Well, your strength coming out of that is you're somebody who took that experience and transformed it. Um,
Yeah.
so how do you do that? How do you, like, when you talk to the young girls in your mentorship program, when they encounter disappointment, what is your advice to them?
My advice to them is to feel it and don't pretend like it's not there. Because if you suppress it, other things will come out: anger, frustration, insecurity. So deal with it. I dealt with it. I cried. I was angry for a while. I was resentful. I felt like I had a lot of stuff built up inside of me that I had to work on. So I found my peace in my body and making myself really strong on the outside, and I work on breathing exercises and calming my central nervous system down. and affirmations, telling myself that I am great, and creating a plan, setting goals, and coming up with minor goals to achieve that major one.
It's incredible advice I think that we could all use. I'm going to
Right.
ask you one final question that we leave all our guests with, which is,
Sure.
what is your best advice for a young Blake Bolden?
Ooh, my best advice for a young Blake Bolden. I feel as though young Blake Bolden was afraid to be her true self and had this shield and was afraid to be vulnerable and be her. So I would say to a young Blake Bolden or a young anybody to just figure out who you are and be comfortable with that and embrace all of your I don't even say that they're flaws, because they're not flaws, they're you. Embrace you and express you, and find your people, find your support system, and thrive through that.
Well, the hockey world is really lucky to have you, and so
Thanks.
are we, Blake. It is such a pleasure to meet you this way, and I look forward to meeting you in person one day
For
too.
sure. Thanks so much for having me.
When Blake was younger, she was the only girl out there. More often than not, she was the only Black person on the ice. Initially, it was challenging because, of course, they're like, why is this girl on the ice? And then after tryouts and camaraderie that they had to build, they actually became her protector.
I'm a power skating coach by trade, so I got a real good view of Blake's power and ability to skate. And so my impression immediately was, wow, I wish I could say I found her, but she found us. I knew then that she, had the talent and the ability to be one of the best players in the country.
First off, just how she comes into a room and she has a lot of confidence, and just her ability to communicate was exceptional. And then her knowledge of the game was excellent.
She has a tenacious work ethic, and what we look for is first is character and tenacity and what you're trying to accomplish, and the willingness to be a great teammate. And that comes out pretty quickly with Blake. We're just really excited to have her as part of the organization.
She's younger and she sees the game maybe a little different. Our organization needs that.
Blake is a rare talent. If there's anyone that could go out, especially as a woman, to compete in a field that has been dominated by men, Blake has the chops to handle it.
We had talked about how we were going to approach the city and meet that mission of hers, which is, really growing diversity in the game, and, where else but LA to do that. And Blake's been a great person to vet and, give us advice.
To see that she's going to be involved in bringing more Black and brown youth to the ice and introducing them to the game, or allowing the game to kind of expand and diversify with both the players and the fans. I can't say any more, but I'm just super proud of that.